Okay. Welcome back. Let's talk about reading. We'll talk about reading this morning, and we're going to be talking about a very big campaign when it comes to reading. As I mentioned earlier, in this day and age where technology is moving ahead, a lot of people, and packing kind. Not technology and so on, but then it makes it worse. So we'll be speaking to Eric Kwesi OPPONG, who is project director for iREAD campaign. Yeah, so we'll be delving into the conversation about reading this morning. We're live on Facebook at Metro TV Ghana, so you can join us on there. And he's a Madrid fan. Hello, good morning, welcome.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Great. This is very interesting because it's always been said that the Ghanaian does not like reading. Mm-hmm. And for the younger generation, they're two worse. And in the current dispensation, I'm sure the other word for West, the one behind West, but really, what has been your general assessment, from your quarters, because you're doing this campaign about Ghanaians and reading and, young folks, what has been your assessment in what you've been doing your research?
Well, per our experience with kids, especially in public busy schools, it's not really encouraging.
Okay.
Right, especially at the lower levels, lower primary levels. And this whole project wasn't even part of our framework or our activities, but because of what we observed.
Okay.
When we were doing some charity programs in public busy schools, and realized that the reading skills wasn't really encouraging. Children couldn't even put sentences together. So we decided to come up with a workable solution that could address. Because with Spring Up, our main focus is to promote or bridge literacy gap between the urban and city, city and rural schools, right? And when we observe that, we want to significantly contribute to that, improving literacy.
Okay.
So as part of our literacy initiative, we decided to bring up this initiative called the iREAD, iLEAD campaign. The main goal is to nurture children, mainly on literacy and also mentorship. So we are trying to design this library initiative to make modern libraries accessible to these children in public basic schools.
Okay.
And also introduce literacy programs so that the libraries wouldn't just be white elephants. They will put the libraries to good use. Yeah. So this is a way of, addressing some of the challenges that we observed working with the public basic schools in Ghana.
Yeah, I was going to ask about what has accounted for the total decline in reading for these kids. Is it that, from the home parents are not encouraging them to read, or they are not enough books in the library, or they don't even go to the library at all? But what really is it?
It's a lot of factors.
Okay.
A lot of factors. You could talk about, sometimes if a child even wants to read, having that access to that facility could not be there.
Okay.
And that's one challenge you observed. GES is doing very well, but in our public basic schools, the facilities are not really there. Unlike our colleagues in private schools, where you can have a private man with their school as a business, they make some facilities available for children to have access to libraries and all that. But in our public basic schools, we don't have much of that facility. So it could be one of them, and another one could be, home training. We are not really, as a people, we are not used to that culture of reading. So we want to bridge that, because once a child knows how to read, it affects every aspect of his or her life. And it's even in academia, once you have the foundational skill of putting sentences together, of even knowing how to read, it can have ripple effect in other subjects like math. Because I'm a math student, right? And I always say that math is comprehension. Before you can even attempt to answer a math question, you need to understand the question. Okay. And if you don't have that strong foundation with reading, you can't even pursue a career in mathematics or even science. So it's a lot of factors that are contributing to that. And some too, like I said, where they find themselves, you can't blame them. Those in the rural part of our country, they don't have access to these facilities. Yeah. So we decided to reach out to them, to let them have a feel of what it means to have access to modern libraries. So that is a whole mindset behind the iREAD, iLEAD campaign. Okay. Yeah.
It's very it's a very interesting campaign. But I remember gone were the days when our curriculum were given to us within a term. You look at a timetable and there's an allocation of PE, library time, and everything. I don't know if in recent times schools or the curriculum still make a provision for a library time for students to read by force. I will use the word by force because just as you are having your environmental studies class, maths class, English, library too is like a section on its own. Are the curriculums providing that time, or GES, targeting that particular side to make sure that it's part?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is. And like I said, GES has been doing significantly well in getting our children to read. And this project, we are also working with them to they support us operationally.
Okay.
All right. So we are not doing it in isolation. This whole thing started around 2020 January.
Okay.
And it's a 10-year program, right? And through our volunteers and also campaigns that we raised on social media, we're able to do 2 libraries as an NGO. And I need to mention Deloitte. Deloitte saw what we're doing, and it was in line with their CSR. So they came in and they also wanted to significantly contribute to improving literacy rates. So they partnered with us, and they injected in funds to make sure that we provide more modern libraries to public basic schools. So we are doing this project with Deloitte, and they are the main architect behind this whole rapid investment into libraries. So it's something that we want to achieve, as part of UN SDG Goal 4. We are all targeting to achieve quality education. Okay. And one key thing about that is to ensure that children are able to read and write. Yeah. So that is the whole mindset behind this initiative.
What types of books or resources are available in the libraries that you, give to these communities?
That is a good question. So we don't stock the library with subject-based books, but books that focus on improving reading skills. So storybooks. And we stock these libraries with, we have some categories of books that we stock. We have African authored books, because we want Ghanaian children to have a feel of people that they can relate to. We don't bring in foreign materials to the place. So we have African authored books, we have classics, we have STEM books, we have preschool, because the library have a target 4 levels, the preschool, lower primary, upper primary, and GSS. So we have STEM books. And one key thing about our initiative is that we also want to introduce children to 21st century skills, like STEM education. Exactly. So it's not about the library, but even the literacy program that we also do after the library. So with the literacy program, we've partnered organizations like Coderina. They are into coding and robotics, so we are working with them. So coding and robotics is also part of the initiative. And we've also partnered UNESCO, Ghana Commission. They are also supporting us with the literature or literacy programs. So we are working with so many partners to ensure that we don't just do the library, but we make use of the library, and the children can say maybe 5 or 10 years from today, because of Spring Up and Deloitte, who came to our community or our school, I was able to develop that passion for reading.
What about the Ghana Library Authority?
Yes, we've reached out to them, and for them, what they will do or what they will be doing for us going forward is that they will offer operational support in terms of training our librarians. Because library management skill, it's something that you need to have. You may be an English teacher or a maths teacher or someone who is passionate to man a library, but if you don't have the skill, within just 6 months, the whole library will just you have
books will vanish.
Exactly. So we have also reached out to them, because when it comes to libraries or literacy, you cannot take them out. They are key partners. So we have reached out to them. We've had meetings with Dr. Sian, the CEO. So we'll be working with them. We are commissioning the last library tomorrow under the Deloitte initiative. So in all we have 10 libraries across 5 regions in Ghana. And we targeted even impacting 16,000 lives within the first year. But we've impacted over 23,000 lives across 8 schools in 5 regions. And we've been able to achieve that with Deloitte within 20 months. you know, literally commissioning library every 5 to 6 weeks. And we've been moving at the speed of light.
Okay, yeah.
So when the whole library project is done, we'll be working with these partners, Ghana Library Authority, Coderina, UNESCO, to practicalize the literacy program and also make sure that we have the necessary training to put our librarians to manage the place for us. Because there's a saying that we don't have a culture of maintenance, but we want to ensure that the libraries that we've established in it through partnership initiative with Ghana Library Authority, they can help us manage it for us. Exactly.
Before this one comes in, some of the libraries, did you establish it from ground to finish, or maybe you had to renovate some libraries in certain schools or communities?
Okay, so the ground to finish in context, I could say yes, in a sense that we do extensive needs assessment. Because a lot of schools would say they need a library. But when you go there, you realize that there is a want. We identified schools that had or has a need for the library. And we don't build the library from foundational level, as in hitting the ground to build. But we engage all levels of stakeholders, like GES at the regional, municipal or district level. We even go to the CISO before the school heads, right? So the school would give us a space, an empty space. Sometimes even an abandoned room. And we do the complete renovation. So the windows, sometimes the roofing, sometimes the floor, even the door sometimes. So we come in to do the shelves, the reading decks, the librarian decks and all that. So we put everything together. Aside the building that we inherit. Because even some of the building we inherit, there are a lot of work that needs to be done. If you see some of the before and after pictures of the libraries we've done, you realize that a lot of work has gone into that. So we don't hit it from the foundational level, but when it comes to the whole structure, we build it from scratch.
Well, this is a very important conversation we're having with Eric upon here. iREAD, iLEAD campaign, very, very big one. And as we're wrapping up on it, I'll take his final words and then we wrap up on this conversation. So going forward to pupils out there, to parents out there, to generally Ghanaians out there, because people grew up and now, even in our space, contractual terms, they're not able to read what is the contract, and they will sign things that later will affect them and all of these things. What would you say to them as the leader for this campaign?
Okay, to the parents.
Yeah, to parents, to kids, to Ghanaians.
I want to, encourage parents, especially parents having kids in the schools that we've been to. All parents in general, to encourage their kids to read, because we believe as Spring Up that an effective reader is an effective leader. Right? Before someone can be a great leader, the person needs to read. And the moment you start reading, or you are used to reading, you have a very open mind. You approach things differently. You seek a lot of diverse perspective on things. So we want to encourage parents to get their children to read. And I can't leave here without saying thank you to Deloitte for believing in us and partnering us, and also GES for embracing the project when we approached them, and they've also been supportive as well. So we thank them all.
Fantastic. So, NY, you used to say if you want to hide money from a Ghanaian,
you put it in the book.
In a book, exactly.
I have a number of books. I 3-4 books at home. Hey!
Before I started gaining more, I was very poor in mathematics, during my formative years. And my class 1 mate, if you should tell the person that I even read mathematics at the university level, they wouldn't believe. I was that poor. But I started having that insight into mathematics when I started reading. Because you realize that question, when it is there, before you even attempt to answer,
you have to understand it.
English, you get it. So to get even children to like mathematics at the basic level, they need to know how to read. So when you sometimes hear children say, I don't like math, sometimes it's not the math.
It's the reading.
It's coming from the English.
In the beginning, I told the son that I didn't like reading, and so I was so bad at math. So it was later that I realized that it is the reading.
Math is about reading.
Rich dad, poor dad has been on my phone for how many years? About 5, 6 years.
And you haven't finished?
I've not finished.
Wow!
I've never finished.
I think that's like one of the common
Robert Kiyosaki's book.
Yes.
There's a breakthrough tips be about money in there.
I have to finish it.
You'll be sitting on it.
I have to finish it. Anyway, thank you very much, Harry, for coming through.